Okay, Alhamdulillah. So it finally appears. I hope it appears well in your end lah. Oh, sekali lagi saya mengucapkan selamat pagi. Salam sejahtera. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So saya selaku pembuka tirai untuk siri webinar pada hari ini bagi pihak Awantech, mengalu-alukan kehadiran tuan-tuan dan puan yang terdiri daripada pelbagai golongan dan juga sebahagiannya saya rasa juga pengamal-pengamal CM ataupun change management kat sini. So this session is a session where we can share our experience and knowledge and feel free to ask me a question, and also at the end of the session nanti kita akan ada satu mini gamification just to tease up, because tajuk pada hari ini adalah change is fun when do it together. So we are doing it together although dia dalam alam maya. So kita akan cuba mengupas beberapa perkara seperti yang ada pada hari ini, iaitu pertama kali adalah berkenaan dengan introduction. So kita akan beri sedikit introduction because it's a new year, tahun yang baru dan azam yang baru juga untuk individu dan juga satu new phase untuk our partners, our collaborators and whatnot. And eventually kita akan move on to the fun facts about change management. Di situ nanti kita akan share beberapa methodologies dan juga beberapa gambar-gambar yang akan tease you all lah dari segi find the difference of two scenarios whatnot. And then juga kita akan cuba bincang dekat sini untuk saya bentangkan why change is important. Why change is important in terms of organisation, in terms of community dan juga in terms of the individual itself, right? And then what you can do about it. You tu saya just simbolkan dia jadi daripada YOU tu jadi you dia, just to make it fun. And then how to make it fun. Okay, this is not cast in stone, this is not what we are teaching you all, but this is just to catalyze an idea. So what we have been doing, so later on it might develop the creativity, so that you all, when you are doing a certain change initiative, be it personal, be it within the community, be it within the organization itself, especially with our partners when we collaborate and our clients when we collaborate, those are the things that we can tap and improvise over these, because basically change is about journey. Nanti saya akan juga sentuh berkenaan dengan journey tersebut, right? Okay, and then some use cases. Use cases yang agak menarik kerana dekat sini ada satu use cases yang agak unik sebab dia berlangsung in concurrent dengan apa yang sedang berlangsung pada waktu ini, iaitu webinar kita on change management, dan our team change management sendiri sedang membuat satu inisiatif, we call it GMTP untuk projek MOE. Nanti saya akan mentangkan sebentar lagi. Okay, just like sorry, ada gangguan tepi tu. Alright, cool. Okay, right. So about Awantech basically. So Awantech core business is based on the two elements, which is the technology component. Dekat situ you guys boleh nampak cloud-based software solution, system integration, infrastructure dan juga cyber security. On the other side would be the talent, where we provide platform as a service dan juga talent resource lah. Right, so the vision is to be the trusted partner in technology and talent, and the mission is to drive sustainability value by digitally transforming businesses and community. Those are our core elements that drive us with the clients. So far, alhamdulillah, even change management, we are actively running through and collaborating with a lot of different partners as well as different agencies and also companies and whatnot, in terms of ensuring the change management progress for that particular project is being done, monitored and delivered the best that we could. Alright, some recognition, just as an announcement that the latest one that we received is PCOM Digital Excellence Award back in 2024, and we are also the premier Google partners and Google Cloud Authorized Training Partners. This is our small team. We used to have 4, but now we are down to 3, but eventually whatever number we have, we always collaborated not only internally but also externally with our clients, with our project deliveries teams. We collaborated with Google and whatnot. So namely myself, Muhammad Haizam Hashim, I'm the Senior Manager in IT Change Management Awantech, and I've been assisted with Muhammad Fadil Izwandi, who is now currently doing that GMTP program that I mentioned before. He's the Assistant Manager, and also Hani Azman, assisting him at the moment, and also concurrently by the side assisting us as well. Thank you very much. And then now we start with the first topic, a lighter one, which is fun facts about CM. Okay, so I will tell you about the journey, a story of life and project lah. Because this journey later on you will see an not animation but a pictorial that explains the journey of us when we do change management, and also the can you spot the difference, are the two scenarios and also the methodologies, right? So this is the journey. Okay, journey ni is like we can cuba bayangkan kalau macam saya bawa dua roda bawa motor. So we used to have collaboration team bila kita nak pergi ride kat somewhere ke apa ke. Then we will have that journey from point A to point B. So moving on in our life cycle of change, biasanya kita akan move from point A to point B, and from point A in the organization punya view, especially they will start with the stagnation part, whereby they are doing as is process that they are doing now, and eventually when they wanted to go to point B, be it sama ada nak menukar technologies or adopting the cloud environment ataupun switching from certain product to another product to foster the collaboration. So that is where from that stagnation phase kita akan bergerak kepada preparatory phase. Right, so within that preparatory phase, kita akan visualize and create the appetite for change, and then we strategize on the vision and also the strategy, and outcome after that is the implementation. So during that implementation and determination part is where usually in a change perspective, there will be a lot of challenges, we call it. Challenges in terms of there might be crisis, there might be some resistance, there might be something going wrong out of control, something like that. So that is where we need to mitigate, because changes without mitigation, then kita akan menghadapi masalah lah. That's why dekat end of fruition part, kita akan sama ada abandon the change ataupun kita akan go to the fruition. And there would be some instances whereby due to the mandate or the contohnya lah government of the decision whatnot that make the change have to be stopped. Itu kita tak boleh nak kawal. But eventually when the change initiative is being given, sama ada tempoh yang pendek 3 bulan, 6 bulan, setahun, 3 tahun, 5 tahun, eventually if we really drive through the communication, we drive through the element that I will speak later on, then the change will eventually take place and we will move from point A to point B. And looking at that later on, you can nampak the benefit and the journey that you look before would be a priceless experience, right? So this is can you spot the difference? Bukan mencari barang-barang yang tersembunyi, but there is two pictorial here. Dulu lain, sekarang lain. Just imagine the one on the left is me when I was a kid back 40 years back, and then the one on the right is my I call it cucu lah saya pun dah ada menantu, belum mempunyai anak lagi, bakal ada anak, dan this is the environment. Changes sometimes are inevitable, right? Okay. Kalau tanya di sebelah gambar sebelah kiri tu, setengah-setengahnya kat sini mungkin boleh jawab, setengah tak boleh jawab. Kalau boleh jawab maknanya dia sealiran dengan saya lah, pernah mengalami keseronokan bermain cepir. This game is called cepir by the way. It's by, you nampak the kid was really eyeing and trying to piece that bottle cap on his left, on your right, sorry, to hit on the left without kacau yang tengah-tengah tu. Okay, I've gone through an experience where an organisation juga they try revive some of the old games and like CP, Batu Seremban, whatnot. So just to create that excitement. And on the right would be the gadgets. Okay, kita sendiri menggunakan gadget because basically we are collaborating, we are doing a lot of things. Things will be much more easier for us to get entertained or get educated or doing our business, buying stuff and whatnot. But that is the inevitable of changes that's happening. Another one, this gambar is actually, you can imagine it's me lah, back in 1990 when I was a student. So I was this thin, but eventually if you guys know about TV, the first TV is like CRT TV. The bigger it is, the size in terms of inch, whatnot, not the harder, but the more heavier it is. But eventually, coming now, I'm getting heavy. but my device getting thinner and thinner and thinner, especially the tabs, even the phones, even sekarang ni canggih dah boleh flip flat kan. But whatever it is, it's getting thinner and it's getting lighter and it's getting faster. So these are the changes that is inevitable in our life due to the technology change, psychological, emotional, social and whatnot, right? So this is some icons that I would share. Okay, biasanya kalau tunjuk gambar-gambar ni, everyone will know lah, right? Like Bill Gates introducing the Microsoft back then when I was studying. These are the core things that we have, but now we have even more, like Google having all the collaboration things, right? And then Mark Zuckerberg introducing the social media thingy, we call it. So from there, people can get in touch not only physically but virtually, and then we can, long lost friend we can find and attach back together, whatnot. So those are the technology that helps us in mitigating the changes that is happening during that time alone. And then Apple founder, this is the founder, right? Two Steves, one is Steve Jobs, one is Steve Wozniacki, right? So another icon of change that might be familiar with you guys or might not be would be this, right? Okay, the one on the top right, the upper part. Agak-agak siapa tu? Okay, walaupun kita tak kenal orang dia, mungkin ada yang kenal, mungkin tak ada yang kenal, tapi apps dia ada kat phone masing-masing. Kalau saya sebut nama apps ni, semua akan mengakui lah yang apps tu memang ada, termasuk phone saya. Alright, so basically this is Zhang Yiming. He is the founder of TikTok lah. Sekarang ni famous kan TikTok. Right. On the sebelah kiri dia tu phone familiar faces, tapi dekat Awan Tech lah especially. His name is Dr. Peter Lee, Lee Hui Xiang. Okay, he's actually, I put it there to tease him if he is here. If he's not here, then he can watch the recording lah and smile by himself. Okay, basically, he is the one who introduced me to the world of change management. And eventually, the one on the bottom right is actually the partner juga, the pair, sama macam Apple ada pair, Google also have a pair. They are the founders, Language dan juga Sejebrain. So basically, kalau look, nanti saya akan sentuh sedikit berkenaan dengan Google punya development and whatnot as a comparative study and also cause and change with regards to change lah, of course, right? So moving on, yeah. Okay, in a more universal and also perspective, I will take a bit on Islamic and also a bit of universal view. Okay, Ma'al Hijrah. Hijrah is very synonym to us, especially the Muslims, whereby the whole notion of Ma'al Hijrah or Hijrah itself is for us to move from this point to another point. Okay, from the point where we are not so good, we improve ourselves to be in another position. Okay, it would take a lot of effort, it would take a lot of time, it would take a lot of courage, whatnot, a lot of support, but eventually the move notion like Hijrah is very attuned, like we mentioned in Surah Ar-Ra'd. Sesungguhnya Allah tidak mengubah keadaan suatu kaum sehingga mereka mengubah keadaan diri mereka sendiri. And also I pick one of Oprah Winfrey punya quotation that is quite relate to this, is the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude, right? So I myself can look myself way back like 10 years ago where I was, and then 10 years now where I am, and perhaps if being given rezeki umur yang panjang whatnot, so 10 years ahead what is the outlook looks like. So as a person, as a community, we won't change until we make that effort of change, right? So this is just jangan risau pasal tulisan kecil-kecil tu, because on your screen, depending on the devices that you are looking, kalau you tengok the smaller screen, you'll be more texting, so don't press your eyes too much on the narrative of the whole thing, but the circle in the middle is basically some of the engagement that we have with our clients, whatnot. The whole 7 cycle is our aspiration. So the only thing is that our implementation for that particular project, for that particular entity, for that particular party will be different according to the needs and wants, and also the one that is most suitable in us collaborating and doing our change management initiative. So just sharing this as a sharing with you. The first would be our change impact assessment. This is where we are looking into the as is and to be, because basically in a nutshell, if you are doing changes, especially in the technological era, there are 3 main components that will be affected. The first is the people, the second is process, the third will be the technology itself. So that is where we find the gaps, and then we try to pinpoint where the gap exists, because later on it will fit to the other cycles that I have in front of you now. The second will be a stakeholder engagement, because change management, being change management, regardless of the change, will be related to technology, to the process of work, to the people, whatnot. The engagement with people is very important, because basically we are dealing people to people, because resistance happens due to that stakeholder engagement. If the things or the change initiative goes in a positive mode, in a positive attitude, it also involves in the stakeholder engagement and communication. It's very, very core for any change initiative to have that stakeholder engagement and also the communication part. And eventually it comes to an organization where some alignment need to be done. Like us internally, also when we do our internal exercises, merging from a tower to a tower for specific purposes, we also do this kind of exercise in a smaller or micro scale of it. But the whole gist of it is actually to get the organization streamlined in terms of work, in terms of understanding, and also realign back the roles, because sometimes we need to centralize the roles. We need to look into whether the pre-process and the post processes will have some alignment in terms of number of people and whatnot. And eventually, number 4 will be the core as well. Like when I mentioned number 2, number 4 is about training, because training will create the ability for the as is and to be, for them to embrace the to be, especially. So training session, there will be a lot of examples later on I will touch on. And then change readiness. This is along the implementation of a certain project. Change readiness is also crucial, because we want to gauge, we want to measure, we want to see what the spikes look like. There will be some examples that I will share also later on as we move along. And moving on is the go live support. This is a support, especially pre-go live when we do any project. So pre-go live to the go live, we need to have that support in that, a part of the post support that we have already in the pipeline. And eventually every single thing will be consolidated and mitigated, and we call it as the change management plan, right? Okay, this is another methodology. The methodology, bear in mind, is a framework. So it is flexible. You can have a mix and match. So I will share you a couple after this, which is POSA is one of them, and then there's some more. So this just to share, and untuk yang dah biasa pakai kaedah-kaedah ni, will be macam a refresher lah, right? So the first one will be the PROSAI ATKA model. So ATKA is actually, kalau tengok daripada tangga-tangga tu, biru, hijau, kuning, coklat dan merah, ada awareness, desire, knowledge, ability and reinforcement. So from there, it started with awareness. So ADKAR is awareness, the first one. Awareness is very important. You need to be aware. When things change, you need to be aware. So the question usually will be asked in this particular model, for example, is why do I have to do things differently? Right? So that question actually will transpire the awareness. Okay, how are you going to go about it? And then comes the next step, which is D, desire, in the ATKA, which is support and participate in change. So the question would be circulating around, why would I want to do things differently? Ada perbezaan sikit kat situ, And then we move on to the next phase, which is knowledge. And knowledge is what additional skill do I need to do things differently? Then you move on to another one, which is ability. Can I actually do things differently? And sorry saya ada serak sikit. Izinkan saya minum air sekejap. Okay, we continue on. Sorry. Ability is, can I actually do things differently? And final reinforcement. Later on, you look, there are some similarities within the framework, although different entity and being introduced by different party, but the punya framework is actually ada similarities kat situ. That's why I say we can mix and match. That one, the one that we proposed just now, the 7 has already taken a lot of from the original framework of ATKA, of Kotter and whatnot, and kita garapkan untuk jadi satu framework yang kita sendiri boleh guna pakai lah. And then the next would be, as I mentioned, is Kotter 8-step model. Okay, Kotter 8-step model is circulated within the, minta maaf, bulatan ni agak kecil, penjuru kiri dan juga penjuru bawah. sebelah kiri, the change process tu, it starts with similar things, which is sense of urgency, creating sense of urgency, and then it goes to the guiding a collision, and then we form a strategic vision and initiative, and eventually it goes to enlist a volunteer army, and then it goes to enable the action by removing barriers, and it moves on to generate short-term wins. I will talk about short-term wins a lot nanti, and then sustain the acceleration and eventually institute change. Nampak tak yang the previous model akhir dia adalah reinforcement, dan di sini akhir dia adalah institutionalized change. So basically, this model, the Kotters model, is more tapping on the collaboration part, if you can see, because they create the sense of urgency, they create a collision. A collision is, nanti later I will give some example, like we call it here in change management world, our ambassadors, our change agent, because we can't do change alone. It won't happen and it won't impact much except for when we do our personal change, but that still we need to have our peers. Later on I'll give you an example, like family members, rakan-rapat, whatnot, to instill the change in our personal. But eventually we need a collision. Collision is like a team formation, and then eventually it goes to the starting menggarap vision tu, and we groom the volunteer army, and eventually we remove any barriers that is there, and we create that short-term win. This is to create the pace and also so that the momentum of change akan berkekalan. Then finally it goes to the institute the change itself. Right. So this one is actually CMSA. It's quite new. I think 2023 or 2022, if I'm not mistaken. This is introduced by Jabatan Irta Negara, snapshot of CMSA. They have another framework before, but I'm using the latest one. Okay. If you look at the round circle, it involves the kepimpinan perubahan, rangkaian pengurusan perubahan, komunikasi perubahan, pendidikan dan latihan dan pengurusan tentangan. And within the circle, within dalam tu is actually awalan, diagnostik, persiapan, reka bentuk dan juga pelaksanaan dan lestari. Lestari itu institutional. So you can see there's the similarity in terms of adopting the change. The mechanism might differ according to the way of change that they wanted to do. In this particular example, it will be applicable for the government agency, because JDN being JDN is they are giving the guide for that. A certain kementerian or jabatan within the government sectors will have a guide how to do it. So 13 activity would be the penilaian asas, which is similar to CIA, if you can see, right? Tapi CIA memang ada kat situ. And then tubuh pasukan CM, pelaksanaan analisis stakeholder, and then change impact analysis, CRA, risiko perubahan, bangunkan strategi CM, aktifkan rangkaian CM, bangunkan pelan CM, laksana pelan CM, pantau dan ukur prestasi, raikan kejayaan tersasul dan juga akhirnya sedia pelan keluar. So you can see there's a similarity within the models when they adopt and when they introduce, right? So why it is important? Kita akan tap 3 area, which is the barrier of change, the contributing factors pertaining to it, and why is it important to change, right? Okay, from a study done by Harvard University, right? So various causes where people negate change. Okay, if you look from bottom going up, okay, project charter too narrow could be a contributing factor. Technology users not involved, inadequate team and users not involved, lack of cross-functional team, unrealistic expectation, you want bukit, bintang, dan everything. You have to be more realistic on the expectation, whatnot. And then lack of executive champion and also lack of executive commitment. And then eventually limitation of existing system dan juga resistant to change. So the resistant has the longest within 70-ish to 80% in terms of their study collaborated. And then why it is important to change, all right? I can basically tap, kalau kita tengok cycle tu kan, dia macam selirat sikit macam otak kita. There are a lot of neurons, they call it, right? So why is it important to us? Basically, when we talk about change tadi tu, it will have the impact from the personal, organization, and also the community part of it. Yeah? That's why we need to do the changes due to the mandate. And that is why we need to create sense of urgency and things like that, so that we are aware to make the change moving forward. And then B, on the lower side, is change in business landscape. Because in businesses, competition is very stiff. And then survivability and scalability, right, is also important factor that affect the whole change notion. And also for personal growth, in terms of changes in community landscapes, the social and economic factors, and also the emotional well-being. Cerita pasal emotional well-being ni, kita pernah dengar, dan lately ni is a bit what do you call, stiff on the mental health punya, what do you call, mental health punya status. Just to share with you that Awantech, eventually we do have a day that we call it Wellness Day, which happened last Friday, right? So within that Wellness Day is actually when Awantech is doing a lot of method, bukan sahaja kaedah melihat semula individual punya BMI or your cholesterol, your what do you call, blood, but they also give a flare, different flare in terms of chiropractic, bone structure, whatnot. And also they bagi spa dan juga bagi mental health awareness. In my case is that when I do my BMI, when I do my test, whatnot, everything flags is okay, but the warning sign happens in the uric acid measurement. So I'm in the warning zone. So warning is a good thing, because I will relate this warning thing in my moving forward slide on the measurement of readiness, right? Okay. And moving on to the contributing factors, as I mentioned, usually change will happen and affected these three clusters will be the people, the process, and technology, especially for organization, right? And then the further moving on the contributing factor will be the economical, emotional, community, and also social. Okay, so what we can do about it? Okay, what you can do about it, we'll look at into the cause of change. We look at the creating of collision, communicate, training and measure, and make it stick, right? So the root cause of change usually happens in the circulation of obsolete of technology, inefficiency, or low productivity syndrome. Okay, if you can take back an iconic example that people usually will share, and I also personally can see that development keeps place, is that the Nokia versus Android. Way back in 2007, I was being given the opportunity to study abroad in Japan for my masters, and eventually during that time everyone is using Nokia, and Nokia being Nokia, they have captured all the hardware part, and also they are developing their own what do you call, apps to complement their hardwares. They're very stable, but eventually Android is starting from the Google search punya engine, they are embarking on the Android, whereby they are focusing on the application, but giving away the liberty of development from other to collaborate with the on the hardware side, which is like the phones, the tablet manufacturer like Samsung, also tak famous lagi, and Xiaomi, and there's a lot of other things, whatnot, whatever. So eventually, after that complacency syndrome kicks in, eventually Android and Google captured the market, and also that is where Nokia lose out. And another pretty example, like in the Netflix, if you watch also about BlackBerry, how they are so sustained about their security and the things that they've developed, but eventually Apple shows that in a screen, regardless of 6-inch, 11-inch, whatnot, you can have both. You can see the whole thing, and then if you want to type, you can make the typing appear. Then once you're done with that, then you can utilize all the whole screen back and forth, right? So the other one will be creating sense of urgency. So fast changing of technology that we're having now, looking into like Google Cloud, Google Computing, and the recent, I would say race would be the AI kind of thing. So this actually help, because in terms of ease of use, in terms of convenience, and also the produce of all that has been significantly improved. And also pace setting the community, kita touch a bit on the traditional education. So kita tidak menidakkan education yang ada kaedah sekarang, pengajaran secara bersemuka whatnot, but we are also expanding the option, because contohnya macam sesi kali ini kita boleh mengadakan seminar, dan seminar ni adalah berbentuk maya, dan juga once everyone get the links, they can attach and get involved with the with the knowledge sharing, with the experience sharing and whatnot. So dekat sini juga it can also enrich and enhance the research. I will tap one of the latest things that Google have already done, especially in the education side. There's a lot of involvement on the Google for Education, enhancement that has been done for Google Classroom itself, and also the latest one will be the Notebook LM. Notebook LM ni kita pun ada test. It's good for you to know for those who don't know yet. Okay, Notebook LM ni especially for the researchers, for those who are making studies, and even so for change management or change managers. We've tested whereby we put all our resources in that particular Notebook LM, and then we can put a lot of studies there, a lot of materials there, and eventually they will come up with an insight, and it could be a podcast kind of thing, audio type, it could be a narrative type of things that eventually it digests, and especially the researchers like PhDs and masters in the education side, higher education learning, will also appreciate this, because basically they are doing a lot of research, and this will cut down their productivity to be more efficient, and time is not time wasting but time constraint mereka dapat dipendekkan, and a lot more things that can be done in terms of cooperation and also productivity, right? In terms of coalition, we can't do it alone, that I mentioned before. So we get acknowledged and support from the top in an organization. Usually top to bottom would work, because basically the mandate should be from the key stakeholder going down, because later on we'll touch on communication whatnot, would have something to do with that. And also strategizing. In terms of my use case would be the MAWIP and MIDA project. Basically, there we propose an SOP and also get acknowledged and strengthen the coalition, because MAWIP and MIDA have a different use case that I can share with you now. Is that MAWIP not only jabatan agama yang berurusan berkenaan dengan urusan agama Islam, tapi mereka ada community mereka sendiri yang berkisar daripada peringkat prasekolah bawa ke pengajian agama, technical expertise, dan juga di peringkat tinggi seperti UCMI whatnot. So they have a different flair of community that is involved. When they do some transformation, it should be things that can benefit all these different clusters. Sama juga dengan MIDA. So MIDA, a part of their different sectors that they have within the internet, they also have Invest KL and other parties, and also they're dealing with overseas. They have offices overseas, so they're mitigating investment from outside, from overseas whatnot. So how to facilitate that? So this notion, when they embark on GWS project roadmap, so whatever coalition and collaboration tools that they have, they are able to utilize, and also I will use that as a use case later when we share in the slide seterusnya, right? And eventually for the personal change, as I mentioned before, when we do personal change, is that a friend or family support is needed, right? Like New Year resolution that myself, I will talk about books, because nanti kan my gamification will have something to do with books. Okay, I used to have reading a lot of different books, but eventually it has been subsided, and later on I might want to push that up, right? Okay. And in terms of communication, okay, this communication is actually when we do our stakeholder engagement and communication, kita akan melihat dari segi influence dan juga komitmen. There and then, bila kita buat kajian tersebut, ada 4 koridor di tengah-tengah tu adalah how we can inform the party, how we can engage, and also how we can prioritize the parties, right? And then some of the communication method that we have face-to-face, like department meeting, one-on-one meeting, town hall, sebagainya. And also we have email circulation, FAQ, bahan dan sebagainya. Then we have the external control party, di mana contohnya ada setengah-setengah platform macam dekat sini. I bagi example is the MOE, the Lima platform and also Mawi platform, whereby that platform serve the different community and parties that they have or stakeholders that they have, right? And in terms of training, usually kita akan look into the TNA, the trainer, training plan and effectiveness. So some of the training yang usually akan diguna pakai akan diterapkan in terms of mitigating the changes are like the user training, the admin training, tech updates, because updates is necessary, especially essential for like product in Google, because over the years they will have enhancement whatnot. And also some TOK, TOT session. TOK stands for transfer of knowledge, TOT train the trainers session, and also refreshers training program. Okay, this is where we try to introduce and also tell you about DICE measurement. This is to gauge the readiness level in any part of the project, whereby you akan nampak D campur 2 times I plus 2. Dia nampak kompleks sebab sebenarnya adalah sangat simple, because the key thing that you need to look into is the three colors tu sebenarnya. When you do the scoring, sekejap lagi saya akan tunjukkan bentuk-bentuk soalan dia. The scoring is either within 7 to 14, which is you are already good in your position, and then the one in the middle 17 to 14 would be the grey area, and also 17 going to 28 is actually a danger zone lah. Dekat sini sebenarnya D stands for duration, I stands for integrity, C ada dua komponen which is senior level 1 and senior level 2, and effort. It's actually when we do this survey or when we engage with them, we can give the scoring on the right hand side. You can see if the review happens frequent, when the scoring will be 1, and if it's more then it will be 4. Same thing goes to integrity, same thing goes to commitment, and eventually efforts, right? Okay. And then moving forward as well is how to make it fun. Ada 4 cluster kat sini, but it does not cast in stone, but actually this is how you can make change, because change kadang-kadang memang masa yang pendek 3 ke 6 bulan, kadang-kadang memang masa setahun, kadang-kadang the change journey tu like 3 tahun and sometimes more. So gamification, competition, celebration, acknowledgement, certification workshop, trips would be some of the things that you can trigger, and also you can use your creativity in terms of engaging the whole thing so that you can have that celebration and acknowledging the achievement along the way, right? So the first would be gamification and competition, right? This is where we can introduce competitions. Nanti ada satu contoh in the use case talks about competition and what are the impacts, and also quizzes pun ada dalam use cases. Nanti saya akan share. The online engagement with prizes, okay? This one I will put at the end of my talk, because basically this is one that I want to show you that even a small thing like this kind of engagement, a webinar, a general one, can still be fun when you do some things, you know, with question and prizes to entice and make it a more fun engagement, right? And then we have we can have fun by, you know, by doing presentation, whether it's online or offline. And also I will share with you after this. I will take a bit of your time to introduce you Johari window. I will have a look at that, and also some competition will drive adoption basically. Okay, this is about Johari window. Let us together.
Okay, go back to the
Because this is a video yang dah ada dalam tu tau.
you
Yeah.
need to go to the what you call that? Google Meet.
Okay. Google Meet. And this one is sharing.
Okay, dia kena ada keluar apa ni, share presentation audio.
So sorry, I just nak tanya, suara ada keluar ke masa pasang video tu? Tak ada
Dia ada sound.
Tak ada keluar?
No sound, no sound.
Oh, no sound. I see. Sorry. Okay, is okay. Then tak apa, kita move on je. No worry. Right. I'll share the link later, yeah, on this one. It's okay, no worry. Okay, we move on. Right. Okay, and then celebration and acknowledgement. Okay, we celebrate small win, and also each phases is a winning stage for everyone when we achieve it together lah. And then acknowledgement is remembered daily by you more than monetary reward. Okay, this one I just nak share satu scenario when I was in the government side. Okay, we have an award ceremony for customs department in KLIA because one of the functions that they have a part of looking into barang masuk, barang keluar, scrutinize things like that untuk kawal barang yang masuk ke keluarga selamat dan boleh diterima oleh ikut polisi is that they are scanning into the drugs punya insertion. So they have a ceremony because a team dedicated to that is an anti-drug team in KLIA. So the boss there is actually quite creative in terms of acknowledgement is being done not via giving the reward because they also have that certain reward in terms of monetary given according to their cases and complexities whatnot. But this is just taking the family comes into a ceremony, and in this particular case, one officer was being awarded a certificate. So that certificate, when being awarded to the officer, anak dia nampak. And then anak dia bila balik was complimenting about the Jimah, the father is very proud and whatnot. And then bila ayahnya menerima satu acknowledgement of the family, it is something very dear to him. And then eventually when he goes back to the office, he was saying that, Tuan, your ceremony really gives an impact not only to me as an award of my achievement, but eventually to my anak-anak lah. Things like that. Just to capture a glimpse of real true stories. Sometimes things as simple as that can also have a huge impact on personnel and also on the group of people. Okay, and the next one will be on the certification and workshops. Okay, so the upskilling is now available anywhere online and offline. Contohnya Google have their cloud skill booth, and Percipio, although it's a subscription based, but Percipio has abundant of know-how that you can tap into, and also some certification related things that you can practice yourself. Contohnya if you want to take certified digital leader CDL, they have all that, and it can curate according to the needs of that organization, whatnot. Okay, and trips and benchmark usually favorite lah, because when you do trips, when you do visits, you learn from others, you can observe, you can discuss, and you have key takeaways. Sometimes you have to do the report or you have to present to your top management, whatnot. Right, so from there you actually can find new findings and experience, especially within your team lah. Okay, so now we have come towards the I will say last 15 minutes kalau main bola kan, 15 minit yang terakhir is about some use cases of change management activities. Sorry, there will be a video that similar like macam Johor Windows, tapi kalau pun tak keluar dia punya music and whatnot, doesn't matter because the gist of the activity nanti saya akan ulas. So we're talking about GMTP tadi, punya program as use cases, the hackathon, and then Mohui Intellect Roadshow, Maui Community Engagement, Mohi Edu Summit, and also Festival of Ideas. Right, so the first one will be GMTP. This is to showcase to you all on the top right. We credit them. Kau nampak tu macam movie ni end credit kan banyak kat atas. It's actually their PIC. They have in every state, ada 13 state. 13 state tu ada PIC masing-masing, because dalam GMTP ni it stands for Google Master Training Program. Ada 2 level, level 1, level 2, dan setiap tahun ada 2 batch. This is the second batch that is concurrently happening now. And credit from Father Izwandi, they share Vids dengan kita. Vids is also another product by Google, and whereby you can match me all your pictures nanti you akan nampak without minus the audio lah. But you can see how it goes lah. Benda tu sebenarnya membantu you untuk buat presentation dari segi visual and whatnot, and you can see dia punya notch up there. Kalau penjuru kiri tu is that from 0 going up to 100%. Eventually this is the first time they reach that 100% mileage, because sebelum ni ada certain voucher yang dapat diguna pakai, so hence the result won't compete to 100%, but eventually now it has reached, and kita bagi acknowledgement pada negeri-negeri yang contohnya ada kat sini adalah sebagai negeri yang share gambar dia. we are very surprised because that collaboration, you can see yourself, the engagement they're doing is like very, very encouraging. Okay, I'll share with you the video after this. Minus the audio, sorry, yeah. It's okay, it's just background music. The video runs kan.
Okay, look at my face. So it's like the only thing that comes up here. It's taking like 2 to the
Kita pun apa ni encourage the person yang apa yang nama dia dekat bahagian bawah tu adalah PIC negeri tersebutlah. Of course dia tak tunjuk 13 negeri, the video tu akan jadi panjang, kita capture some engagement, but you can see basically that their engagement and their drive being the PIC, they are taking that not as a biasanya seperti mandat menentukan beban bagi mereka, tapi mereka explore further and doing that engagement. This engagement actually when they do their training, they will do the examination. Okay, this is the kind of effort when they do the training concurrently terus buat examination. So dia punya result exponentially being very, very positive. Right? In Sarawak, you can see masing-masing ada style and plan masing-masing. This setup is like macam nak make exam STPM, right? So they are doing it concurrently for level 1, level 2, and they also acknowledge yang ada dogif dan juga certificate. Although it's not necessary for that exercise, but they go beyond. So these are all the PICs and also slash jabatan. That's a collaboration. That's why we're building that collision. Collision tu sebenarnya, people might come, people might go, but we are building the collaboration and then the synergy over time. Like this project is actually meant for 3 years. So every now and then, not only this is part of the many value add activities that we have, but we just capitalize this because this is the one that's currently running. And we acknowledge also to the pendidikan, also to Awantech as well as Google collaborators that we have. Right. Okay. So that's one showcase. The other one would be the Hackathon MIDA. Okay, MIDA I mentioned before that diorang ada pelbagai division, pelbagai fungsi dan juga ada di oversee dan sebagainya dan juga investigate dan sebagainya. Okay, we introduce a gamification or a competition named as Hackathon. So this Hackathon actually they're utilizing one of the solution that Collab solution introduced by Google by name of AppSheet. So AppSheet is actually, in a nutshell, is that you are doing an application without having to know the technical parts. And so you're utilizing the data and you have the constraint that you have, challenges in whatever process, and then you cramp it up to make it usable, and later on it can mitigate you punya challenges that you have. So basically when we introduce Hackathon to MIDA, we give a handhold and briefing, and then we open up the competition, spelling out that everyone who embark can use their own use case, a real cases that they have. And then they build that app sheet, they do their demos, and eventually they present it to their top management, even the CEO in the middle. And then we pick the top 3. And hence you can see in the picture, the winner of the day are 3 teams providing 3 different solutions to handle the issues that they have to mitigate that using AppSheet. But the actual winner, actually ada 12 ke 13 peserta dalam sesi pada kali ini. The winner is actually all 13, although yang dapat prizes tu ada only 3. Of course, the only 3 ni pun memang ada, mereka sekarang tengah lihat satu persatu solution yang boleh guna pakai untuk di-expandkan secara real. But the rest of the team juga boleh guna pakai dia AppSheet module tu untuk kita their own things. Because basically, when they do the proposal, they have the proposal of mitigating about their KPI measurement. They are mitigating about productivity, like license, pemberian lesen untuk certain facilitation, whatnot. They have their filing system. They have a lot of different things, different flair, but they're utilizing the AppSheet. Hence, that drive the adoption. And also being encouraged by MIDA, because their CEO also acknowledged not only the solution that they're providing, but also the effort that they are doing in utilizing whatever services that MIDA has offered to them sebagai warga MIDA untuk diguna pakai seterusnya. Right? There's one very wonderful example I can share lah. And then about UPNM Intellect Roadshow is actually we are doing gamification as well. We're doing roadshows, but during that roadshows actually ada satu pertandingan, we call it a final year terms. So it's a havoc thing. We're having our booth, but in terms of slots, kita ada slot pagi dan petang. So pagi dan petang kita buat gamification. So on the right hand side is actually you're looking into the students and lecturers comes in, because we are announcing that they are doing some quizzes. Okay, from the quizzes you answer 5 questions and then you get it right there, and then you get the swag. So that is the engagement that we are triggering, right? So and it's very encouraging because the Naib Chancellor yang bahagia Lieutenant General Datuk Marzuki Muhammad also was there to appreciate the whole exercise and also being briefed about Google offerings, whatnot, right? And also for Mawib community engagement is that our first meet and greet, because Mawib is quite new to us in collaborating, because they have GWS as well as e-Kalam platform. It's similar to like MOE, Delima. So they are engaging with their different cluster of community that I mentioned before. So we are collaborating with them to suit the adoption of e-Kalam platform and GWS per se. And this is about MOHE Change Ambassadors, the first meet when we have in Putrajaya, whereby kita pun memberikan satu tanggungjawab sebab kita lantik di UA, Universiti Awam, Politek dan juga College Community, ada wakil-wakil yang dipanggil sebagai Google Ambassadors. So we do a program, we give them the roles, responsibility and the perks that they have, and also we introduce, because next year we're going to do hackathon similar to like MIDA. So hopefully the response that we can garner from there is very, very positive. So we have already built up the hype now alone. And then we have MOHE Edu Summit, which we have workshops and also the key objective to increase awareness on AI especially, and also enhance capabilities using Gemini from the community. And also the recent last year is they are having the Festival of Ideas. Key objective is to increase the awareness GWS and Gemini, and also there's some Q&A come from the visitors, lecturers and students as and when they approach. It's a big scale, but we contributed in one of the activities there. So a take home message for you guys. Bila ada take home ni maknanya dah sampai ke penjuru akhir lah. Saya harap masa masih mengizinkan. Is that change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. So we are the one we've been waiting for. So we are the change we seek. So this is a quote by Barack Obama lah, a former US president that I can share. Okay, I'm going to the fun part. Finally, apa ni? Jinggi dah senyum dah. Sorry, ini gurau-gurau, suka gurau. So basically, we have a quiz. This quiz is very simple, as you can see. It opens to those who participate today. Right, only one prize winner. Eventually, is a book. This book is one of Kotter's book. We call it Leading Change by Kotter's book. So dalam yang ada 8 steps Kotter tu boleh baca. Tapi untuk menang lah, yang lain kena beli. So all you have to do is very simple 5 steps. Okay, saya bercerita berkenaan dengan fun facts, importance, and also what you can do about it, and the fun fact and use case. So in terms of fun fact, you give me answer of 2 methodologies daripada banyak methodologies yang cerita tadi. So 2 methodologies saja. Okay, that's the first question. Second one is, why is it important? What is the contributing factor of change? Bagi satu je. And then the third question would be, what you can do about it? Is the tool to measure project readiness. Tadi ada satu yang ada formula tu, apa dia? Just a name. And then how to make it fun? Name me 2 activities that I share with you, you know, to make it fun. Tadi ada banyak kan? And then eventually the use cases. Okay, so what we do with MIDA to gather interest. Ada nama tadi kan? Hack. Alright, so what you need to do is that you email to me. Email saya ada nanti, saya akan mentionkan dekat pengakhir pada slide ini. Okay, haizam.hashim@awantech.my. Boleh letakkan dekat dalam message. Alright, and then your title on your reply for that answer, you just put fun CM quiz and then you put your name. And dalam tu, selain daripada you punya jawapan yang 5 tu, you masukkan juga email address supaya I boleh mail you the actual physical book lah. You don't worry because the postage will be covered by me. Alright, so the first email in blue color tu, the first email with the 5 correct answer will get the book lah. This is just to entice. I want to show you that, you know, as small or as little as this webinar, we can still do gamification, we can still have fun, we can still have that interaction, you know, although saya di sini, tuan-tuan puan-puan di sana dan sebagainya. So saya alu-alukan lah, it has already opened. Saya tak kacau email, it's okay because you will send to me and I will get the winner and then I will send the book over to you, provided you give me the address, right? So there's my email, haizam.hashim@awantech.my. Alright, so with that, this is my contact number. If after this, you know, those who are outside would like to discuss more or whatnot, having some views or whatnot, feel free. And those who are already collaborating with us, he or she knows where I am and my number, whatnot. So next time, and then the key message is that when you see any change around you, be part of them. Don't shy away. All right. With that, I thank you all for your concentration, for your support and time giving for this particular series. Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.